Hello traders, welcome to today's video. Bitcoin currently sat just below $90,000. That's kind of crazy, right? Just a couple of weeks ago, we were down at like $60,000 and now we're here at 90,000. So you guys have been asking for a video today because yesterday was mental and yeah, here it is. I haven't prepared anything, but I will do my best to explain how I'm looking at the market right now and how maybe you can start to make the most out of these current conditions. So, we'll do the technicals. I'll also just give my opinion because, as always, I'm pretty opinionated when it comes to the market. And recently, I've been proven right by what's going on here. And I do have the longs as well to show that I have been in a pretty decent position with all of these long positions. Long from $60,000 here, long from $57,000 here, long from 58,900 here. I know all of these are showing as 100x. This is just something that I do, okay, and something that I recommend that people do if you are profitable on a trade, right? Just release your margin back into your account so that you can use that margin for something else. So as you're taking profits, release the margin, whack it up to 100x, whack it up to cross leverage, and then you can use that margin on something else. And there are going to be opportunities for me to use that margin soon. So I want it, and I want it available, but I don't want to be closing out fully from these trades yet, because ideally I think we can still continue to go a lot higher. We're going to be going above 100k. We're probably going to be going higher than a lot of people, judging by this move. It looks really, really good. It's very, very strong. And this is just the beginning of what is likely going to be a good few months of a new uptrend emerging. So the fact that we're here after a few days is incredibly bullish. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to see big pullbacks along the way, right? I mentioned this morning, so looking back on the Discord, right, I did close out of more than 50% of my long positions. I haven't shorted it or anything like that. We're just about to hit 90, aren't we? Look, 89,940 it just hit then. So yeah, we are probably going to hit $90,000 as I am recording this video. Here, no, let's go on the low time frames. I'll get back to it in a second. 90,000? Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay, it's not doing it, it's shy because I'm watching it now. What was I saying? Yeah, it's now is the time, although I'm not looking to short it. Alright, I am wanting to take profits here. Now, the reason being for that is it's gone up a bloody long way. And we have hit some very significant targets. So 90,000, essentially the last psychological level you can really look at before we get to the big 100k. I'd be surprised if we hit 100k in one go. It's not out of the question. We could just continue to print green candles all the way up to 100k. We did $10,000 in a day yesterday. There's no reason why we can't do another $10,000 today or over the next week or so before we see any red. And we've also seen red, green every single day since the election. So until that changes, you don't really want to be looking for short positions. You want to see a red candle come from somewhere in order to give yourself a short. But we have hit the 1.618 from the previous range that we are in. This is a zone that I would always be looking to take profits. And I do believe at some stage we will see prices back below 89,900 again. Okay, even if it's that not immediately. Okay, even if we do continue to grind up here and we start to maybe lose a bit of momentum as everyone's expecting 100k, I do think we can get opportunities back down within those 80k zones in order to maybe compound trades, in order to look for new opportunities that are there. What we of course do have down there is a CME gap, right? What happened on a CME gap that we made back here? Okay, basically the start of this cycle, you dip into it, you get that nice continuation afterwards. What happened when we had a CME gap here? you dip into it, you get a nice continuation afterwards. Okay, when we have been creating these bullish gaps, if you are to get a drop down here, that would be a really good zone in which to look for those longs. But anyway, that's like a little bit, yeah, it's there. We're aware of it, but we don't have to come and fill it straight away. What else can we be looking at here? So, yeah, FOMO. Because a lot of you are feeling FOMO. And this is why I've had some DMs this morning asking me to make a video. Now's not the time to be FOMOing in, okay? Like I say, we're at the start of something that's going to be ongoing for the next few months, well into next year, I believe, okay? We're looking at a new bull run. And I've been saying it for ages, right? We were always gonna break out. Like this market cycle hasn't been anything unusual. Okay, the only thing that was unusual was the summer was a little bit more um, brutal than maybe it has been in previous market cycles. But we had the pump last year, the October pump last year that created this really big run. Okay, what we did, we made a new all-time high because there was the ETF hype. We had the ETF's launch. What happened after the ETF launch? You put in a high and it corrects, but then you continue higher because it's very bullish, right? So that was a pretty obvious move. You then go and make a new all-time high. And then the reason why this was a lot more brutal, I think, is because we got so overextended in the first place, we just needed a lot longer in which to consolidate afterwards. But consolidate is what we did. We did get the long, slow summer, right? I was incredibly bored of what was going on, but I was holding the positions that I wanted to be holding, being essentially just Bitcoin, because mistakes that I've made previously have been getting back into altcoins and using too much margin on altcoins when they struggle to keep up with Bitcoin. When we get this kind of scenario playing out, the time to play altcoins is a little bit later when we do start to get a pullback. But I wanted to be in Bitcoin, and I'm also in Ethereum longs as well. And that just being because I wanted some kind of diversification, and Ethereum's just been hammered lately, and I feel it has a really good risk to reward. And actually, I'll have a little look at Ethereum in a minute. It's looking quite interesting here for when Bitcoin does finally start to slow down. But yeah, there have been opportunities to get in. Okay, the time where I was entering, as you saw from my positions, were between that like 57 to 60k zone. I was essentially DCAing in there. All right, we did have this drop, and there were a few opportunities after we got the low that was put in, DCAing into those positions. And then the main part for me when I was really starting to enter was when we were holding that point of control that then or the value area low, sorry. We were holding this area, we had a decent pullback, and I was just starting to add in to those positions there. But there have been other opportunities as well. All right, when we look at this from, let's just add on this chart here, and we just look at how this had played out. We had those breakouts a little bit early, right? We had this change in market structure here. Although we weren't taking out wicks, when you look at your candle closes, we'd clearly had a change of that external market structure, and things were looking good. We had a breakout, we had a back test, we had that continuation. All right, we were holding the midpoint of this channel quite well. Other things that we could have been looking at, or other things that we were looking at, was if you're looking at this downtrend altogether. All right, we had, once again, a pretty clear breakout from that downtrend. If you don't want to be faffing around with like playing with lines, then these regression channels are really, really useful because it's done in a more mathematical way. We had a situation where we reclaimed the VWAP and held that as support. We had this situation, of course, with Bitcoin, where we were looking at our range and yearly points of control. Okay, where this is, we were looking at a yearly POC, which was down here. I'm just going over some stuff that I've been talking about recently. Basically, there we go, where of course we had that move down. That ran it just below the POC. It was holding at the time. This was the value area low. Then we flipped the POC back into support, and we had that nice confluence that was around there. So this for me was like, okay, I was taking small profits along the way, but still very, very confident that we were going to be going higher. And now, yeah, we are higher. So yeah, I'm happy. What else do I want to say? Is there anything else on this chart that looks kind of interesting? What else has been going on? Um, hmm, are we? This is kind of cool as well. How we just anyway. Um, right, some things that we need to be looking at, I guess, for yeah, what happens next. I wanted to talk about Ethereum. So Ethereum, as I said, I am long, and the reason I'm long and not taking as much profit on Ethereum right now is because I do believe it's going to go to an all-time high. Okay, Bitcoin's done it. Other assets are going to catch up. Solana's going to do it, even though I don't really like Solana. Uh, Phantom probably won't end up doing it because it's rebranding. AVAX looks pretty good right now. A lot of these other altcoins, even Cardano is pumping. Um, so everything will probably make those new all-time highs alongside Bitcoin from a US dollar perspective at some point in the cycle. And if something's going to do it earlier, it will likely be Ethereum. Okay, it's not that far to go. So the fact that I'm long from down here, it's not yet somewhere that I'm looking to take profit. If we go back above that, like 420, 4,200, make those new all-time highs, and that's where I'm looking to take profit on this. But I'd be absolutely fine with continuing to hold these longs. Okay, even if we do get a pullback, because my invalidation is down here, and I'm pretty comfortable in those positions. Now, the other thing with Ethereum is it's looking very interesting locally. All right, so Bitcoin does start to slow down. All right, what is Ethereum doing? Okay, it had this big nasty downtrend where you had highs, lows, highs, lows, highs, lows, highs, lows, breaking, right? And a candle closed back above, so a bit of a shift in that market structure there once again. Coming back through, and we had this little bit of a move up that was a couple of months ago that then got inverted, and we got that continuation lower. And we're now seeing a situation where we have something similar. Whoopsie. Something similar on the daily here, where we created these gaps on the way down, and now we're coming back in to test into those, to test into what was essentially resistance, as we had this downtrend previously. Okay, it was trying to break up, but break, wasn't able to do so. And of course, we do have the 618 here. So we've got this golden pocket, we've got this previous like line of resistance that was here. It was unable to break, you then flip it, you're coming back into test. So Ethereum looks like it's got a pretty decent risk to reward. And when you actually look at how far off it is from Bitcoin, right? Yeah, it could at some stage start to outperform by over 100%. So it's early days, okay. I'm not saying that it can't go lower, because if Bitcoin does continue to crush it and continue making new highs, then of course the ETH BTC pair will continue to fall. But if Bitcoin is crushing it, then that means that the ETH USD pair is going to be moving up, or at least remaining relatively stable anyway. And then because there's so much potential to the upside, it makes sense for me to be holding these long positions on Ethereum also. And if you're in any altcoins, I'd say it's very much similar for those. Like, these are the ones where you want to be in Bitcoin mainly, because it is likely that it is going to overperform as long as it does continue to go higher. But altcoins will catch up, and if you're in good ones that have a good risk to reward and are looking pretty like decent opportunities, then yeah, go for it. But for me, yeah, looking more for the lower cap altcoins or like the non-Ethereum altcoins, I want to see a dip first of all, and then start to be bidding into that dip. Um, Bitcoin dominance looks very interesting. Okay, we had spoken about this before. Um, I had mentioned this about previous cycles. So if we go all the way back here, right? This is very early days. Okay, back in 2014, 2015, 2016. But Bitcoin dominance had this big drop off as your first kind of early set of altcoins started to emerge. You then had this rise that came back into what was previously the support that broke down. And then, of course, you see that continuation as more altcoins start to rally and outperform Bitcoin and so on. And a similar situation to what we're seeing right now. You had this support that broke down towards the end of the previous cycle. And then we've had this slow climb up all the way up to that 618 to 702 zone, which is an area that I do like. Coming back and filling in all of this, correcting all of this move down. And that doesn't mean, once again, that we can't see continuation a little bit higher. But if Bitcoin is rallying and looking good, it's not going to be the most intense move, and then at some stage, okay, I do believe that Bitcoin dominance does collapse and probably makes new lows as the altcoins do start to rally as well. So yeah, altcoins are there. There are opportunities. I say even where things are at here, but really to get those bids, you want to see Bitcoin drop a little bit first, which may just spike that dominance back up again in order to start getting into alts. So yeah, that's all I can really say. We need to have a drop. We need to have a drop. We need to have a little bit of a correction, unless you're trading the really low time frames, because there have been drops. Right, there's been plenty of them, and maybe we get another one soon that looks a little bit like this. Okay, we had that like spiky price action here. You have a bit of a rounded top. You break down. So we're going to see something similar. We come down and maybe get an opportunity to move back around that 85k zone for another potential rally, and then start to look at altcoins around here. We shall wait and see. Yeah. Okay. I keep losing my train of thought of what I actually want to talk about. But a few other things maybe just to mention before I wrap this up. Hopefully this has been useful for you guys. I know it's been all over the place, but hopefully it's kind of useful. Is the kind of phase we're going into from the market right now, you almost have to forget a lot of what you've been learning or a lot of what you know from what's been happening over the summer, what's happened in previous cycles. It's going to be different. We're not going to be news orientated so much anymore, at least to the extent that, right, CPI, FOMC, that kind of stuff, very unlikely to have any kind of effect when crypto is just moving on its own accord like it is now. So data no longer matters. Data will be different. Asia will probably start playing a much more important role. New York a less important role. And this is just what we've seen from previous cycles. Okay, Asia moves crypto often a lot more, and that's where the big opportunities come from. And it's quite handy for me because I am in Asia right now. So that can be interesting. But anyway, yeah, you've got to unlearn some stuff. Maybe just go a little bit more left curve, take a little bit more risk. When you get these opportunities, go for them. The timing is going to be important because when we do get these drops, they will be quick, sudden, sharp drops, and then things will often go up towards new highs. So if you miss it, wait for the next one because they will happen relatively regularly. Don't FOMO in at highs, and don't go in on too high leverage because when we do get these drops, they're going to be shaking out leverage. Just chill out, allow the market to play out the way that it wants to play out. Don't worry if you're on low margin and you're underwater, because this will be forgiving for a while, I would say. So if you are to bid something and you end up a little bit underwater, don't panic. Wait it out, like in the same way that I was waiting out when we're slightly underwater within this range for a long time. But that's just the kind of thing. Like, these conditions are likely to be forgiving and are likely to be a lot easier. But that doesn't mean that you can't lose tons of money as well, because when we do get these drops, you've got to make sure that you're not getting greedy. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's certainly not easy mode, but it's going to be a lot easier than it has been, unless the market does something unexpected, which obviously it can do. But yeah, hopefully that's helped to give you some thoughts, give you some ideas, help to suppress the FOMO somewhat, because I'm not feeling any FOMO here. This is my third cycle. I don't really have FOMO. I'm not really feeling much on this whole move up. To be honest, like, I'm more looking forward to the next bear market now. Because now's the time just to finish up maybe what you've been doing. I'm probably not as exposed as I want to be. I'm not in a position to trade this as much as I would maybe have been able to in previous cycles. So for me, I just want to let it play out, trade a little bit more relaxed, hold these positions for a while, a few months, maybe see where the cycle takes us, see what opportunities are there. But certainly for me, no FOMO. and then we wait to see where the top is, and then the next bear market's when I'm going to get really excited again and start to look for the new opportunities. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. Enjoy it. Enjoy the profits. If you're sidelined, don't worry. Chill. Wait for a pullback. Start looking at altcoins. Start looking at places where you want to bid. Our job as traders is to take things from point A to point B. Right now we don't know where that point A is going to be. But if we do start to move back, maybe we come into a CME gap, hey, there's a point A, where can we take it? Maybe 100k, and then trade setups start to emerge. Don't really need to worry about the red button either, because if we are back in bull mode, red button's not going to be that useful for you. Just save for yourself the time and the energy and just look for longs when they happen. And yeah, that's all I have to say again. So thanks for watching. Hopefully that was useful. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.